Dear students, a very good morning to all. Once again, we all are here, and I would like to welcome you in the digital class once again. Till now, we have completed a prose, that was a story, and after that, we have completed two poems composed by the great American poet. And today, we are going to deal with Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. Dear students, I hope that you can easily assess what kind of prose we are going to read today. The first one was story. It means that was fictional category or fictional part of the prose. In my earlier video, in the first video, I have already told you there are two broad categories of prose. One was fictional and another was non-fictional. In the non-fictional category, I let you know that autobiography also fall in this category. Dear students, Long Walk to Freedom is an autobiography of Nelson Mandela. And I hope that you all are quite familiar with the term autobiography. Auto means self. It means it is that piece of writing which is composed or written by the writer himself or herself. In this kind of writing, the person shares his early childhood time, his education, his career, his failures, his achievements, and so on. So, dear students, it is mere an extract from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, that is Long Walk to Freedom. In this extract, we are going to read about the speech which Nelson Mandela delivered on 10th May 1994 when he was elected as the first black president of South Africa after 300 years. It means after 3 centuries. But before moving ahead, before moving into the prose, let's have a quick glance over the lifespan of Nelson Mandela and his achievements, failures, and etc. Dear students, Nelson Mandela was born on 18 July 1918 in South Africa. He had 13 siblings and his parents were Gadla Henry and Nosi Kenny. His given name was Roli Halahala, a Xhosa name meaning pulling the branch of a tree or informally troublemaker. Dear students, Mandela's father died when he was 12. Mandela then lived with a local regent who sent him to school. He was the first member of his family to go to a school, and he was expelled from Fort Hare University in 1941 because he led a group of students on a political strike. After he was expelled, and Nelson Mandela found a job as a night watchman. And after learning that his guardian had arranged a marriage for him, Mandela fled to Johannesburg. And then he worked first as a night watchman and then as a law clerk while completing his bachelor's degree by correspondence. He studied law at the University of Witwatersrand, where he became involved in the movement against racial discrimination. Dear students, in 1944, Mandela joined the African National Congress, that is ANC, and he worked with fellow party members including Oliver Tambo to establish its young league, the ANCYL. And that same year he met and married his first wife, Evelyn Natoko Messi, with whom he had 4 children before their divorce. Dear students, let's have a quick glance over his political career why he joined African National Congress? What was the motto behind that? Students, Nelson Mandela's commitment to politics and the ANC grew stronger after the 1948 election victory of the Afrikaner dominated National Party, which introduced a formal system of racial classification and segregation, apartheid. Hopefully, you all are quite familiar with the term apartheid. Of course, you all have read in your history books about apartheid, and it is a kind of social evil, and it was a political system that separates people according to their race, or you can say on this political system, on the basis of this political system, black skinned people were segregated. They were considered inferior in comparative to the white skinned people. That was the apartheid policy. And it was a policy that restricted non whites, it means black people, from their basic rights. Even they were deprived from their basic rights. Even they were not allowed to get education of their own preference. They were not allowed to get earn their livelihood as per their potential. Even they were not allowed to get their education as per their own likings or choices. That's why he joined all about why he joined ANC. And this was a system that was rooted out from this country after 300 years. That was a long period. It took nearly 3 centuries to remove from that country. The following year, the ANC adopted the ANCYL's plan to achieve full citizenship for all South Africans through boycotts, strikes, civil disobedience, and other non violent methods. And Mandela helped lead the ANC's 1952 campaign for the defiance of unjust laws, traveling across the country to organize protests against discriminatory policies, and he promoted the manifesto known as the Freedom Charter. Also in 1952, Mandela and Themba Mbeki opened South Africa's first black law firm, which offered free or low cost legal counsel to those affected by apartheid legislation. Dear students, you would be quite surprised or amazed to know that nearly he had to spend 29 years in the prison. It is not a short time period for a person. Nearly you have spent an era if you are in a prison, and he made this sacrifice. Dear students, he was that first black president after and more than 3 centuries of white rule. And first democratic elections were held in 1994, and ANC party won 252 seats out of 400. And this was the first time in the history of South Africa. And the great inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings of Pretoria. And for this occasion, all the dignitaries and politicians, nearly or for more than 140 countries, were invited from all around the world. And on that day, he delivered his speech, and he shared his feelings, his emotions, and his pain, his grief, what he had to face, what all the other freedom fighters and patriots who sacrificed their life just to get this day, just to lick the taste of that day. But he was feeling so sorry that even he was not able or to thank them for their sacrifice, since they are not alive to see or taste the fruit of that freedom. For that they sacrifice their whole life. let's know something more about Nelson Mandela, or let's have a quick recap of all these things in a form of short video.
Who was Nelson Mandela? He was a civil rights leader. Where was he from? He was from South Africa. What did he study? He studied to be a lawyer. What did Nelson Mandela do? Mandela became a leader in the political party African National Congress. He wanted that the Congress and the protesters follow a non-violence approach. At one point, he started to doubt that this approach would work and started up an armed branch of the African National Congress. He planned to bomb certain buildings. He wanted to make sure that no one would be hurt. He was classified as a terrorist by the South African government and sent to prison for 27 years. After prison, he continued his campaign and stated he would die for his ideas. His hard work paid off when all races were allowed to vote. Mandela won the election and became president of the South Africa. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
Dear students, let's come to our prose. This is the first page of your second prose, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, as it is visible on your screen. Let's read about before you read first. Apartheid. Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. As I have just told you about apartheid, and you have also read in your history books as well, apartheid was that social evil, dear students, or you can say it was that political system that separates people or segregates people, black people, according to their color from the white skinned people in their own country. It was the worst system the world can ever experienced. After that, can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? The three options are given here: United States of America, South Africa, and third one is Australia. I hope you all are quite feel comfortable to answer this question, as you are already told by me and you all are quite familiar. Of course, the answer would be South Africa. The next point what we are going to read in the section before you read. Have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Of course, we all are very familiar with Nelson Mandela. He was the first black president. Mandela and his African National Congress spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. As you know, he spent nearly 30 years in prison. He was considered not less than a criminal by African government there, because he boycotted their rules. He stood against their rules and policies which were not friendly or favorable for the black skinned people. That's why he was taken as the criminal and he was sent or thrown into the prison by the white government. Hopefully it is clear to you. Finally, after all the struggle, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994. When the democratic elections were held in the South Africa at the very first time, when the all people got the right to cast their vote in 1994, and it was a time when Nelson Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. Why it is named as new nation? Because the white government was rooted out and the new and non-racial government gets its place. Of course, after that, in this extract, it is an extract, as I have told you, it is an extract from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela from Long Walk to Freedom, as it is written over here. You can see in this extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela speaks about a historical occasion. Historic occasion means it was a great memorable achievement or memorable day in the history, and it was the day which was named as the inauguration. It was the day when the new government was going to be inaugurated. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Hopefully you can all guess. You can easily assume the answer. Check your guess with this new news item from BBC of 10th May 1994. Dear students, please read the information which is given in the box given below. Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. It is important for you to know for your upgradation of knowledge. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president, as I have told you. Even we all have seen in this video. Even he was honored with Nobel Peace Prize as well, and he was elected as the first black president after more than 3 centuries of white government or white rule or white supremacy, which was in the hand of white skinned people. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, which means ANC, won 252 seats out of 400 seats, and it set the example in the history of democratic government, and he won with 252 seats out of 400. It was a great achievement for him, and it was a great achievement for the country in the past history. After that, of course, whenever you win something, whenever you achieve something, of course, you enjoy, you celebrate your success, you celebrate your victory. The same thing was did there, and it was a formal occasion, or it was a ceremony, inauguration ceremony. On that day, he sworn in as the first black president. It was a formal ceremony, and it was named as inauguration ceremony, and it took place. Where did the inauguration ceremony take place? It took place in the South Union Building's amphitheater. Dear students, amphitheater is a kind of hall or a building without a roof. It's a kind of auditorium, but it has no roof. As you watch sports matches, football matches, and they are uncovered, they have no roof. It means you can also name them as amphitheater, and it also has with many rows of seats rising in steps, so that you can, even the person who is sitting on the last corner of the seat, he can easily see what is going on the stage. And it was held in Pretoria, and the dignitaries and politicians were invited from more than 140 countries throughout the world. And when he addresses his nation, Nelson Mandela, what the line is quote in inverted commas, these are the actual words spoken by Nelson Mandela. The statement was, "Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another." It means Nelson Mandela wants to say that in future he never want that his country would again face this oppression or segregation just on the basis of their color or races. On the next paragraph, jubilant scenes. Jubilant, the scenes which gives you energy, which gives you enthusiasm, or when you feel joyous, it means those are jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony with blacks, whites, and coloreds celebrating together. Even it is evident that on the streets, even white people, black people, all could be seen together celebrating this ceremony. And more than 1 lakh people, South African man, including man and woman, and children of all the races, whether they are black or white, doesn't matter. The all were shared this glorious moment with their presence, and they enjoyed the moment while singing and dancing with great pomp and show with joy. This is all about the first part of this prose. Hopefully it the video could be helpful to you. Next part we will complete in our next video. Till then, keep learning. Thank you.